Welcome to Trending Unpacked, the show where we explore the stories behind the trends shaping our world. Today, we're looking into something that's really captured attention far beyond just fashion circles. We're talking about the Ralph Lauren Christmas 2025 campaign.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And what's fascinating is why it's trending. It's not just about the clothes, is it?
Not at all. It seems to be hitting this emotional chord globally. People are talking about how it makes them feel.
It's a really masterclass in emotional marketing, I suppose. They didn't just release a collection. They dropped this whole packaged feeling, this sort of visual narrative.
Exactly. And the speed it took off, well, it suggests they really tapped into something quite deep, something maybe people were already looking for.
Could be. When you look at the campaign visuals, the snowy landscapes, these grand houses, that incredibly warm, almost golden lighting.
Yeah, it makes you think of fireplaces, cozy evenings.
Right. It's instantly evocative. You've got this mix of vintage charm, that classic heritage style, but also, let's be honest, high-end luxury. It's aspiration, but it's wrapped in comfort.
And that potent mix seems to be why it went viral so fast. The marketing itself felt like it was doing something for people emotionally.
And that something, that emotional connection, that's what we really need to unpack today.
Okay, so our goal here is to explore the sources we've gathered. We want to understand, the specifics of the cinematic style they used, why now was the right cultural moment for this, and we've identified about 4 key psychological theories that might explain why this particular image, this blend of tradition and luxury, is resonating so strongly with everyone in late 2025.
Sounds like a plan. Let's get into it.
All right, so before we dive deep into the why, let's talk about the what. The brand itself, Ralph Lauren. We have to start there, don't we?
Absolutely. The foundation is crucial. Founded way back 1967.
Yeah, 67. So that's, nearly 60 years of building this very specific identity.
And it's an identity that, interestingly, isn't really about chasing fleeting trends.
No, it's always been about selling a certain kind of lifestyle, hasn't it? That consistent, aspirational Americana vision.
Precisely. And having that genuine, almost 60-year heritage is, it's marketing gold, especially for the holidays.
Oh, so.
Because the holidays are fundamentally about tradition, nostalgia, family. Ralph Lauren doesn't have to invent a feeling of tradition. It's baked into their DNA.
So they just kind of polish up the existing image?
Pretty much. They present this beautifully curated vision they've honed for decades, and it instantly feels like the ideal holiday. It's like pre-approved nostalgia you can buy into.
Okay, so that brings us to the 2025 campaign specifically. The winter house theme, it really felt like a perfect distillation of that heritage idea.
It did. And the timing was smart, launching in late October.
Gives it plenty of time to build steam before the actual holidays hit.
Exactly. Maximum runway. And they used that dual approach you mentioned, the glossy print ads, but also these really high production, almost movie-like videos.
The cinematic aspect is key, I think. Where was it actually filmed? The sources mentioned a specific kind of setting.
Yeah, they confirmed it was primarily shot in this classic, luxurious lodge environment. Think snowy Colorado, maybe the Adirondacks.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe.
And that choice matters, right? It's not just a generic nice house.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It anchors the whole fantasy in a very specific North American ideal wilderness, yes, but also established wealth, leisure, a kind of old world comfort. It makes the aspiration feel grounded somehow.
You mentioned earlier this blend, this duality in the aesthetic. How did they actually pull off mixing that cozy home for the holidays feel with, the sheer Gatsby-level opulence?
It's a tricky balancing act, for sure. The sources suggest they wove together 2 visual threads. First, you have the home for the holidays stuff, the family moments, soft lighting, comfy-looking sweaters. That's the emotional core.
The part that feels relatable, maybe?
Kind of, yeah. It pulls you in emotionally. But then, crucially, they layered on top this high society grandeur. You see it in the scale of the settings, the perfect black tie outfits, that almost untouchable elegance reminiscent of something like The Great Gatsby.
So it's not just warm and fuzzy.
Exactly. If it were purely sentimental, it would dilute the luxury message. This way, you get the emotional warmth and safety of family tradition, plus the visual thrill of extreme wealth and sophistication. It keeps the aspiration high.
And that blend comes through in the details, doesn't it? Like the specific visual choices, the lighting everyone noticed.
Oh, the technical execution was vital. That's where the cinematic part really comes alive. The lighting is very high contrast.
Meaning?
Deep shadows. But the light itself is intensely warm, often golden. It really mimics candlelight or firelight. You don't get this look from a phone camera.
No, it feels expensive, deliberate.
It creates texture, a sense of atmosphere, almost a slow, unfolding drama.
Yeah.
It's the complete opposite of that bright, flat, kind of generic lighting we see so much of online. It demands attention.
And the clothes themselves, what specific fashion details were emphasizing this heritage feel?
The whole collection felt very classic, rooted, not chasing trends. Tartan was everywhere.
Tartan's interesting. It has that immediate connection to history, Scotland.
Precisely. It signals heritage, established families, permanence. It's a pattern that inherently feels traditional, never just trendy. You saw it in blazers layering pieces.
And what else accompanied the tartan?
Lots of heritage knitwear. Think of those really classic chunky cable knits, soft cashmere. That reinforces the comfort aspect. Then you had sophisticated equestrian details.
Which is a Ralph Lauren signature, right?
Absolutely. Boots, bridle motifs. It connects back to that idea of landed gentry, sport, a certain kind of polished old money leisure, controlled wealth.
So comfort, tradition, sport. But what about the Gatsby element, the glamour?
That came through in flashes of metallic evening wear. Silks, sequins, but styled in a very elegant way. It provided that necessary touch of high contrast formality for the grander scenes.
Okay, and we can't talk about Ralph Lauren icons without mentioning the bear.
The polo bear, yes. Its return, or rather its continued presence, is really significant.
Harper's Bazaar specifically called out how effective the bear still is. Why do you think this, well, let's face it, slightly quirky mascot works so well in a serious luxury context?
I think the bear acts as a crucial softener. Ralph Lauren is selling this very polished, maybe even slightly intimidating world of established wealth. The bear, which popped up first in the early 90s, I believe.
Right.
It's nostalgic, it's a bit playful, it's immediately recognizable and accessible. Harper's Bazaar called it inherited nostalgia.
Inherited nostalgia. I like that.
Yeah. It connects maybe older customers to their past or younger ones to family memories, or even just to the idea of that cozy, preppy past. It makes the brand feel charming, less imposing. It's a mascot for the feeling behind the lifestyle, not just the formal clothes.
That makes a lot of sense. It balances the high aspiration with something more universally relatable.
And that balance, I think, is a big reason why the campaign got such widespread positive coverage, not just in fashion magazines like Vogue or WWD.
But everywhere online, which led to this phrase catching on.
Right. The media, social media users, they all started calling it the Christmas of quiet luxury.
And that term, quiet luxury, had already been bubbling up since maybe 2023, hadn't it?
It had. But Ralph Lauren, with this campaign, didn't just jump on the trend. They effectively positioned themselves as its original source, its timeless embodiment, especially for the holidays.
They didn't just participate, they kind of owned it for Christmas 2025.
Exactly. They reinforced their role as the standard bearer for that understated, high-quality heritage aesthetic. ##3. Cultural context and viral resonance. Okay, so now we get to the really juicy part.
Sure.
Why did this specific time resonate so powerfully? Why did it go viral in late 2025?
It seems tied into something bigger, doesn't it? This wider cultural mood.
Definitely. There's been this growing interest, maybe even a longing for more traditional American aesthetics. That whole old money style thing that's been trending globally, this campaign landed right in the middle of that.
And we have data to back that up, right? The search trends.
Yeah, the sources show a really significant spike in online searches right after the campaign launched. Obviously, Ralph Lauren Christmas went up, but people were searching for much more specific lifestyle terms too.
Like what?
Things like quiet luxury holiday style, or even specific products like Ralph Lauren sweaters 2025. That shows real commercial intent, not just idle curiosity.
People weren't just looking, they were actively trying to figure out how to get this look, this feeling.
Precisely. And on social media, particularly TikTok, the campaign videos just exploded. Hashtags like #WinterhouseRL and interestingly, #AmericanRevival.
#AmericanRevival. That's telling, isn't it?
Very. It confirms the campaign tapped into this desire for a specific kind of American style, the classic, polished, stable version associated with heritage and, established wealth. Not streetwear, not fast fashion, something more enduring.
People online were even comparing the feel of the ads to, what was it, Hallmark movies?
Hallmark movies, yeah, and also Nancy Meyers films, like Something's Gotta Give or The Holiday. Those movies create these worlds that are incredibly aspirational, beautifully designed, but also deeply comforting and familiar.
So the Ralph Lauren ads offered a similar feeling, an idealized yet somehow cozy world.
Exactly. It felt pre-understood, like stepping into a scene you already recognized and felt good about. It's aspirational, but in a safe, comforting way.
But here's a question that comes up. If the campaign is selling this image of extreme wealth and stability, the snowy mansion, the perfect clothes, how does that actually appeal to a broad audience, especially when, many people are dealing with economic pressures, cost of living concerns? Isn't there a disconnect?
That's a great point, and it leads us directly into the first theory the sources propose for why this resonated, the digital contrast effect.
Okay, the digital contrast effect, what's the core idea there?
The theory suggests that because our daily lives are so saturated with hyperdigital noise, constant updates, fleeting trends, the sort of visual chaos of much online content, fast fashion cycles,
We crave the opposite.
precisely, we develop a hunger for things that feel more tangible, more textured, slower, more real, maybe. The campaign's aesthetic provided that contrast.
So the calm, controlled, visually rich style of the Ralph Lauren ads felt like an escape hatch from the usual online frenzy.
Exactly. Think about the texture, the knits, the wood grain, the warm lighting. It feels almost palpable, even through a screen. It's an antidote to the flat, fast, often overwhelming visual diet we get online.
And people actually said this online.
They did. The sources noted users explicitly calling the RL campaign the antidote to over-the-top influencer aesthetics and all the associated content chaos. It felt like a moment of calm.
So Ralph Lauren wasn't just selling clothes, they were selling a visual break, a moment of curated stability in the middle of digital overload.
That seems to be a big part of it. They contrasted the often loud, fleeting performance of social media trends with the quiet, polished, enduring stability of heritage quality. They offered a calm center.
But wait, if people are tired of digital stuff, why does a very slick, highly produced digital ad campaign become the answer? Wouldn't the real antidote just be, logging off?
That's the interesting paradox, isn't it? I think the key is in the spirit and the aesthetic of the content, even if the delivery method is digital. A TikTok video, an Instagram post.
How do you mean?
The narrative itself, the pacing, the visuals, they feel analog, slowed down, considered. It's like the difference between a quick phone snapshot and a carefully composed photograph shot on film. Both are images, but one feels weightier, more substantial.
So the Ralph Lauren campaign uses digital platforms, but it resists the typical speed and feel of those platforms.
Exactly. It offers a luxurious visual reward for actually pausing your scroll, for taking a moment to absorb it. It feels more authentic because it feels more crafted.
Okay, that makes sense. It rewards your attention. Now let's connect that to the second theory, cultural recycling theory. This one helps explain why this specific look, that sort of 90s-ish heritage preppy aesthetic, feels so right now.
Right. Cultural recycling theory basically argues that during times of uncertainty, social, political, economic volatility, and let's face it, 2025 has had its share.
Understatement of the year.
Well, during those times, fashion and broader aesthetics often recycle looks from periods perceived as more stable or comforting. We subconsciously reach back for the aesthetics of times we idealize as simpler or more secure.
Like how styles got more conservative after major wars, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So according to this theory, the strong pull towards the heritage and stability embedded in the Ralph Lauren visuals isn't accidental. It's a direct response to current anxieties. We're seeking visual reassurance.
So the campaigns mix the fancy mansion, yes, but also those very traditional, predictable family scenes. It speaks directly to a need for order, predictability.
I think so. That combination is key. It offers both aspiration and comfort. The familiar rituals, the classic clothes like tartan and cashmere, the warm family gatherings, they act as symbols of cultural permanence.
They suggest a world where some things stay the same, even if everything outside feels chaotic.
Precisely. The campaign is essentially selling psychological grounding, wrapped up in beautiful, luxurious fabric. It offers a sense of stability you can wear, or at least aspire to.
So it's less about just buying a sweater and more about buying into the feeling associated with it, safety, tradition, belonging. It's like an emotional investment made through retail.
That's a great way to put it, an emotional investment. And that idea of emotional investment leads us straight into the third theoretical framework, emotional branding theory. This explains how Ralph Lauren turns that immediate feeling, that warmth, that comfort, that aspiration into something lasting, into actual brand loyalty.
Right, because making people feel good for a moment is one thing, but keeping them coming back, especially during the crucial holiday spending season, that's another level. How do they bridge that gap?
They do it by consistently using these really powerful, almost universal symbols and narratives, things that tap into shared memories or ideals, especially around nostalgia and family.
So images of families together, traditional holiday scenes.
Exactly. These aren't just pretty pictures. They're designed to trigger feelings of warmth, familiarity, and crucially, trust. Trust is the bedrock of any long-term relationship, especially with a luxury brand.
You trust that the quality is there, but also that the feeling the brand represents is dependable.
Precisely. They're not just selling you, say, a cashmere sweater for this Christmas. They're subtly reinforcing the idea that Ralph Lauren is Christmas, or at least the idealized version of it. They become associated with your most stable, traditional, positive memories, real or aspirational.
They create these what did you call them? Memory anchors.
Yeah, memory anchors. So when December comes around and you start thinking about the holidays, the feeling you're chasing, for a lot of people, the image that pops into their head is shaped, consciously or not, by decades of Ralph Lauren's consistent messaging.
That's incredibly powerful. It means they don't have to constantly reinvent themselves to stay relevant during the holidays. They just need to deliver that core emotional promise.
Which ensures they remain a cultural fixture, not just a fleeting trend. And that stability keeps them top of mind when people are actually making purchasing decisions during the biggest shopping season of the year.
Okay, that makes sense from an emotional branding perspective, but let's tackle that economic angle again with the fourth theory. The luxury as stability concept. This seems almost counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when everyone's talking about the cost of living. Why turn to expensive, high-end goods when times feel uncertain economically?
Yeah, why splurge on luxury when you're worried about inflation or job security?
The theory suggests that precisely because things feel volatile, people start searching for symbols of permanence and enduring value. Fast fashion comes and goes, trends burn out in weeks, maybe even digital assets feel unstable.
So people look for things that feel solid, timeless.
Exactly. In this context, established luxury items like a classic Ralph Lauren piece, a well-made watch, high-quality cashmere are perceived differently. They aren't seen purely as frivolous spending,
How are they seen then?
as a sort of psychological hedge. They represent longevity, quality that lasts, style that transcends fleeting trends. Buying such an item can feel like investing, subconsciously at least, in something stable and resistant to the chaos.
So that expensive sweater isn't just wool, it's psychological armor against uncertainty, a small piece of perceived permanence.
In a way, yes, it's an investment in emotional durability. The act of choosing it says, I value enduring quality over temporary trends. And for those who can comfortably afford the full lifestyle depicted, it offers a form of escapism too, a retreat into a perfectly curated world where tradition and quality are guaranteed.
But let's be realistic, most people watching those ads aren't buying the entire estate in Colorado. If the main products are out of reach for many, how does the campaign still resonate so broadly and actually drive sales?
That's where the marketing genius lies. Ralph Lauren is brilliant at selling the dream at multiple price points. You might not buy the $2,000 shearling coat or the formal tuxedo, but maybe you can afford the polo bear knit hat, or the fragrance, or a classic polo shirt, or even just a wallet or a key fob.
So smaller items act as entry points.
Exactly. They're like tokens. They allow a much wider range of consumers to buy a small piece of that world, that feeling of stability, heritage, and aspiration. It's entry-level permanence that creates an emotional connection to the entire brand universe, even if you only own one small part of it.
And underpinning all of this, all four theories really, is the brand's incredible consistency over time, isn't it?
Absolutely critical. This isn't a new strategy for them. Ralph Lauren didn't just discover cinematic storytelling in 2025. This whole winter house aesthetic deliberately echoes the feel of their iconic campaigns from the late 80s and 90s.
So that long-term consistency builds trust and reinforces the heritage message.
Massively. In a market where brands constantly pivot, chasing the next viral thing, Ralph Lauren feels like an anchor. You know what they stand for, you know the aesthetic, you know the quality promise. That predictability is incredibly valuable, especially during an emotionally heightened time like the holidays. It's comforting.
So if we zoom out one last time, what does the huge success of this Winter House campaign, this collective global embrace of tartan and fireplaces and cozy luxury, tell us about where we are culturally in late 2025?
I think it reveals a deep, perhaps growing exhaustion with the temporary, with the constant churn. We seem to be swimming in information constantly connected digitally, yet maybe feeling more disconnected from things that feel solid and real.
So we're searching for anchors, for shared reference points.
It seems like it. We want things to slow down, perhaps, to feel more rooted. This campaign acts like a mirror, reflecting back a widespread desire for nostalgia, yes, but also for stability, for a sense of belonging, for traditions that feel like they endure, even in a world that changes so fast.
That's a really insightful takeaway. It suggests that fashion marketing at its most effective like this isn't just selling products, it's tapping into and maybe even shaping our collective desires and providing a kind of shared emotional language, especially around deeply ingrained cultural moments like the holidays.
It provides a visual shorthand for the ideal, doesn't it? A template for the warmth, tradition, and stability that maybe deep down we're all hoping to find or create each December, perfectly packaged and ready to aspire to.
Thanks for tuning in to Trending Unpacked. Ralph Lauren's holiday campaign reminds us that nostalgia isn't just about the past, it's about who we hope to be. Next episode, we trade snow globe dreams for breaking headlines, uncovering what really happened in the UPS plane crash that's making global news.